We did our first performance in February of 1971 at St. Mark's Church. I backed up Patty doing poetry on guitar, and so it's been a run. I guess this would be 54 years, which is incredible. But still doing our work, still keeping our artistic ideals uppermost, and that we never really compromise those ideals. We've always wanted to do the best work we can, and so we have over these many years, always pointing forward artistically.
You never had like any moment of disencounter around all these years? Have you
Well, I
been?
mean, when Patty moved to Detroit to be with her husband Fred, the first incarnation of the band was over. I think that was, an important moment for her to reestablish certain family contacts that she wanted to encourage. But again, I've always helped Patty to be as free as possible to do the work that she needs to do, and I have my own work to do. So it's a very good collaboration of both of us,
And how would you describe her?
an artist and a worker. Um, I mean, obviously, when you're in the public eye, there is a certain amount of renown that goes with it. But again, it's always for Patty the quality of the work that is important to her. The sense that what she's doing is 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 important creatively and not bound by structures of fads or fashion or what's popular at the moment. She has a very strong sense of her own artistic energy, and she moves that forward with everything she does. She's not an artist that looks backward. And I know that's strange, given the fact that we're going to be touring the 50th anniversary of Horses. But to us, the most important thing is the work that we do tomorrow, as opposed to celebrating the past.
How is like the creative process? Do you create
I
together?
mean, we're all sort of perfection. You want a piece of work to be as good as it can possibly be. And there's a lot of struggle to that. There was a lot of struggle when we made Horses. We were a very young band. I think of us as, kind of ponies straining at the bit, trying to understand the forces that we've unleashed um, within our creative self in this band that we built over a period of 2 years. Um, it was a very slow growth process. It began with Patty and myself and Richard Soul, the piano player, and we worked as a kind of improvisatory trio. When it came time to expand the band, we added a second guitarist and bass player, Ivan Krall. And finally, just a couple of months before we began Horses, we added the final piece of uh, of being a rock and roll band, which was J.D. Dougherty, our drummer. And because it took so much time, because we didn't say, hey, let's get a band together and sound like every other band, what we had was very unique and idiosyncratic. And sometimes, especially since we honed all this music um, in a live setting, when you go into a studio, you have to figure out how it translates to the recorded medium. Um, you're not in a rock club. You're in a loud, people bouncing off each other. It's almost very clinical. So you have to have a different perspective on who you want to be. And the recording studio can be quite a psychodrama. All of a sudden you're hearing yourself back, and it might not be how you imagine yourself hearing. So, especially in the recording of Horses, we were understanding a lot about who we were, who we could be, and how we could have achieved a certain degree of um, artistic transcendence.
Hmm. And along all these years, from horses to now, how the persona of Patti Smith has changed.
She's not very different than when we began. It's just that, over over half century of performance and and artistic uh, progress, you get better at what you do. You understand who you are. You understand how to get someplace. You understand how to utilize the tools at your command, the way that the way that you've figured out who you are. And I mean, I think Patty is still very much an artist who believes in the transcendence of achieving a creative vision. And every new thing that she does, and she does a lot. It's not just music with her, it's literary, it's poetry, it's the visual arts, and it's also performance, which is a whole different kind of way of approaching what it is you do. Um, she's gotten more commanding of how she can achieve her vision. In that sense, I believe the work we did in the 70s, there was a lot of searching for who we wanted to be, how to achieve that sense of apocalyptic vision. And now I believe that we've understood who we are and how to present that in whatever artistic medium uh, we're doing our work in.
How does he change you?
It's not only who listens to you or hears your work or sees your work, it's how you see your work reflected in others. And to me, when we perform, especially live, to see the energy transference between us and the audience is a magical thing, and it helps you to understand who you are artistically as well as have the audience comprehend what the meanings and themes of your work is. It's very much a two-way energy exchange.
Is there any show that comes to mind that was particularly relevant or transformative for you?
They're all they all have their magic. I have to say, in all the years that I've been standing stage left of Patty, I've never seen her sing a false note. I've never seen her go on autopilot and dial it in. She is always in the moment. Uh, each note, each lyrical line, each singing whatever each of her singing, she is always there, and she wants to give the audience sometime during the show a unique experience. She's very committed as a performer. And of course, it makes me not, take anything for granted on the stage. I often think of my role with Patty as getting to the door and opening it before she rushes through. Um, but she's a truly honest and real performer, and that to me, sometimes it's not a theatrical presentation, even though there are theatrical elements to it. She's singing from deep in the wellspring of her soul.
Wow, that's beautiful. And the Carnegie Hall tribute was amazing.
It was so sweet. I mean, Patty and I were sitting up in the box, watching all the performers, access the work that we've done over 50 years. And for a rogue band who started out as off the mainstream as possible, to see our work illuminated by such uh, talented musicians and interpreted in so many different ways, it was a great blessing, and it almost confirmed the fact that our instincts when we started out all those many years ago were strong. we've never had the kind of worldwide success uh, that many of the city winery tributes have. I mean, we still play theaters and we're a very modest band, but to see our work regarded with such respect was a truly beautiful thing.
Well, and also like you inspire so many talented artists that are very well known. So it's kind of like, yeah, you are considered one of the greatest.
Well, I mean, both Patty and myself have been inspired by so many great artists, Jimi Hendrix and the Rolling Stones and the Velvet Underground and, whatever guitar players have changed my world, whatever poets and and writers and performers have changed Patty's world. We just find we're in a continuum of inspiration, and if we've been able to inspire people, well, so were we inspired when we began to understand our creative process. So it's an ongoing thing. And hopefully all the performers that were on that stage, many of whom have their own inspire, legacies of inspiration. They too, we're all in this together, and so like I said, it was a great moment in time to see our work so honored. But for Patty and myself, we're not going to sit there and rest on our laurels and say, "Oh, we're so great." No, because both of us get up in the morning, and what are we going to do today? Are we going to write music? Are we going to write a piece of, uh, literary something? Um, we don't stop moving. We're not about to say, "Wow, we were so cool then, so we can coast now." It's all about what you do in the present, because as Patty always says, the future progress isn't the future; it's keeping up with the present. So that's what we're about.
So are you satisfied? I guess you are. You must be satisfied with your career so far. Or there is something that you still want to achieve.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm always growing. I'm working on a solo album and my goth jam psychedelic band called Adrift. It's time to achieve artistic closure. I don't have any illusions about what the music business is like these days or my own place in it. I'm just doing things for my own sense of creative satisfaction in the same way that both Patty and myself have worked. You do your work for creative satisfaction. What happens to it is really not in your control, but when you sit back in a studio and say, "Yeah, that was a good guitar solo," you feel like you are being who you hoped you would be. And I like that. And it keeps me, it keeps me in the moment. I always like a good challenge. I'm always learning something. I'm learning about music that I've never heard before. I'm learning about something on the guitar that has not occurred to me over the past 54 years. Um, I'm basically just trying to keep my energy flow together. And I'm lucky enough. I mean, I certainly enjoy what we've doing, the respect I get, from whatever I've been involved in over these many years. But again, that was then. I'm all about the now.
That's great. And so this is not related to Patty. It's just like out of curiosity. What are you reading now? What are you inspired by? You say that you're learning new music that you didn't know before. But yeah, I don't know about another arts, for example, cinema, theater, literature. What
Well,
what are
I've been really reading a lot of the work of the Egyptian writer Naguib Mahfouz and
okay?
his incredible detail of what it was like to live in Egypt in the first half of the 20th century. Um, and I've been fascinated with that. It goes along with my fascination with Arabic music, Kulthum and um, Abdul Wahab. Um, I'm also interested in proto metal of the early 1970s, as exemplified by the Brown Acid series of albums. Um, I'm just all over the place. I like to follow what I call little rabbit holes. I learn about a group. I kind of investigate them, to see what they were about. There's such an amazing amount of music available to to trace down, especially given the the width of the internet. But so I'm always like discovering something new, and trying to bring it into my creative existence. Um, I, you know, every day I get up and I think about music, I write about music, I play music, and I kind of very happy to be in the musical part of one's human soul.
You're gonna tour like pretty soon. How is like your day to day with Patty?
We talk on the phone. She got back from Tokyo, and she gave me a little rundown of what was like today at 6:30 in the morning. And just I mean, we're at this point we're like astral siblings. She's my solar sister, and it's pretty easy between us, and we try to encourage each other. She'll read me pieces of the book she's working on just to see how it sounds through my ears. And I'll tell her about, my musical projects, and she'll encourage me and say, wow, that,
That's so beautiful,
her
Lenny.
personality, I mean, after all these years, we know pretty much everything about each other. We have so much history, so many private jokes. We still talk about the Heyday Cafe in Melbourne, where we wandered into one day, which was like the most rundown cafe ever. And they had, you know, uh, they gave you hot tea and coffee. It was like a mixture, it was just like some random, we have our little private jokes, and we just like, we're like old friends, like bookends, as the Simon and Garfunkel song says.
It's beautiful, Lenny, because like I think the society kind of like talks about like a romance and stuff. Like it's like the major relationship in life, and you have been through her life for longer than her husband, and you have seen her grow and grow old, and same to you. So it's like a very beautiful friendship, and also like a band like your band that is one of the greatest and have
Oh,
so much
thank you.
history, so resilient, like over time. How many bands are still up after 50 years? It's half a century. And there are bands that still don't tolerate each other that well, that they kind of like sync for creating music together, but not really integrate them into the daily life, like because it's too much for them. But your case is so unique.
We just kind of know who we are, and we don't have any pretensions to be anything less. We're not like, oh, we have to get into the arenas and have one of these mega shows where everything, all the pyrotechnics and the video screens have to go off at the same time. Um, we just like to do our work. I mean, it's pretty simple. I mean, at Patty's first reading, when we opened up the poet Gerard Malanga in February of 71, um, Patty wrote under her thing, work. And to me, that's really what it's about. I like to have a good time. I'll stay out tonight, having a tequila or six, and celebrating Mexican independence. But or not, because I understand it's more about Americans thinking they have to drink a lot of tequila. But it's just one of those things where it's just, you know, we just like to have a good time. But on the other hand, I'll get up like I did this morning and start my work. Do whatever it is I have to do, record my radio show, you know, uh, think about what I'm going to play on the Underground Garage cruise. You know, get my 61 T-Bird running. I mean, it's all, I'm at a place where I can enjoy the pleasures of this existence. And I feel very grateful, that I'm, that I've modestly achieved what it is I wanted to do, which was be a rock musician. Amazingly enough, I'm not trained, I don't read music. I didn't think this would last as long as it did, but I'm very, very honored that it did.
Well, I'm very honored to have this conversation with you. I
Oh,
think
so nice to talk with you. Thank you for taking the time. Recuerdo un poquito español
muy
de
bien.
escuela.
Spiritually wise, you are a Buddhist or no?
I appreciate Buddhism, but to me, most organized religion is stands in the way of the light. The more you believe in certain precepts, it's like what Patty says, Jesus died for somebody's sins, but not mine. I want to see the light. I don't want to see the church surrounding it because it blocks the light. So in a way, I think all religions are saying the same thing, but in different languages and in different imagery. And I appreciate them all. I'm a spiritual person, but to actually say I'm a this or I'm a that, like Patty says, we're not about definitions. Definitions define limit. And I want all religions within me because that is the light of the universe.